Hi, I'm Dr. Quentin Alexis Alimayu, the Use UDL guy, and this is Use UDL Turns 10, Quentin's version, where I'm going to tell you why I made the video, what my goals were, how I felt about the success, and what I've been up to, especially with the current climate. So let's do this because I'm loquacious and I need to hurry up. Let's go. Alright, so what is UDL? In a nutshell, it comes from Universal Design, just like in engineering. It stands for Universal Design for Learning. And the idea comes out of Harvard, specifically their CAS organization. Basically, when you design curriculum, you should provide scaffolds and the things that students need inherently so that they can then be effective with achieving the curriculum's results. Put simply, it gets rid of the stigmas in education, the things that make us feel uncomfortable. And it's just like when you design a building so that people that have wheelchairs, people who need the ramp for delivering packages can use a ramp in all the same ways to access that building. Well, it's the same with curriculum. We want students to be able to access it no matter how they enter. So UDL is important to me because it even goes before I even heard of the theory back when I was a student. In middle school, I had this counselor that saw some potential in me and she asked me to join this organization, Trend, which led to me joining the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Trend National Program. And from there I became a motivational speaker and I would go around schools singing and actually develop my own program called TNT, Ignite the Spirit Within You, which stood for the Next Triumph. And I would go around and talk to schools and to students about making positive, healthy choices in life. And I loved it. My grades suffered because no teacher was tapping into that. But it was the thing that brought me joy. And then unfortunately, ironically, my art, my music, the thing I wanted to be known for was the very thing that became a problem one day. When I wrote some lyrics, the words were "get laid." I was 18 at the time and I was writing a song that was supposed to be similar to "This is how we do it" and the choices that kids make. And when I put that, the organization that supported my motivational speaking told me, essentially, I would have to change my lyrics or they couldn't support me. And it was that moment when I realized that I was not being tapped into in schools in the ways that I needed to be, and I wanted to become a singer. Now, I ended up becoming a teacher and I used that theory to help my students when I actually learned it in my master's program, and I realized I could meet my students where they're at and get them to grow and actually harness their talents to show how they achieved my curriculum's results. And I gotta tell you, no matter where I went, whether it was rural, suburban, urban, we saw results. Okay. So the journey in making this video kind of continues the last answer. It started when I was in this class for my master's program where we learned about the Universal Design for Learning philosophy itself, and we went over all the tenets. I had this amazing professor that helped me see the value of using Universal Design for Learning as a teacher to show your love of each student individually. Because Universal Design for Learning asks you the what, how, and why of education, and to really understand how you can get each and every individual student to maximize their potential. So when the class was ending, I was so inspired. I was like, this is a way I can blend my two passions, that sometimes I can use music, because even though I learned Gardner's theory about multiple intelligences, it never taught me how to use that. So if someone said, well, why is this kid making a rap song? I could really show how they understood the concept or the skill and not just that they were talented. And so I wanted to show that by making my own video proving that. And at the time, Shake It Off was very popular. So I said, what if I blend my two passions and show the beauty of UDL by using UDL? Okay, for something that I made at the last minute, for it to have 9,000 views is kind of cool, but at the same time, I never wanted to go viral. To be very, very, very honest, this was posted for two reasons. The first reason was back in 2015, YouTube was still a video sharing site, not the influencer thing it's becoming. And so at the time, I was just posting them so that people could see what I was working on with my kids. And because I was really excited about what I learned. I was doing this for fun. It wasn't even for the grade. The project, we already had an A. I just wanted people, and this is the second reason, to learn something that I learned. I wanted to help people. And I thought UDL is the answer. I still think it's the answer. I think people want to have curriculum that helps each individual kid grow. And I think one of the things that everyone is pushing back on is this idea that everyone has to learn the same things the same way. I think that as well. So it's really cool to see that this video is spreading. I've even seen it cited in India. I've had other people ask if they can make their own copies. So in many ways, I love that it's spreading, but I never wanted to go viral, and I don't have any desire to go viral now. I just want to help people, help other teachers like me. Okay, if I could change some things, there's some small things. So first off, I was rushing to get this done at the last minute because the idea, for real, hit me at the last minute. So I was specifically with my daughter. I was saying, okay, we've storyboarded a scene where I want to show a kid using an iPad because I want people to understand that these are not the enemy, that iPads can help kids learn. So I said, Kyla, pick an app that you could use to learn with. I'm coming in there, I'm going to shoot it. We don't have a lot of time, go. And then I come in there and she's playing the game. And I was like, oh my gosh, but I didn't have time, so I shot it. And I was like, oh man, people are gonna criticize me for this. And then I said, no, UDL is inherent in video games. You have to use it to get to play the game. And the gaming industry is the king of making sure they use UDL in their products. So it was perfect. But also my son, he was missing his mark, and that's why we ended up giving him the sign. And I was like, son, deadpan. I don't want you to do anything but just hold this sign and we're gonna dance around you. And then that became a trope in a lot of our videos. My son loved it, even though at first the true answer is he couldn't hit his mark. And finally, for some reason, when this is quoted in India, it says that my wife is my teacher. She was just representing a teacher. She has gone on now to be one of the best teachers I know, and hopefully national board certified if she can do this in a couple of years, and I really am rooting for her. As an educator, I had 7 years of great teaching experience. I got to work with some of the most amazing kids in the most amazing districts. I got to see kids make amazing art, amazing music. I got to see lessons that blew my mind, and I really mean this. Every student I worked with was seriously one of the coolest individuals I ever met, and I greatly miss them. Now, there was also some things personally that happened that were not so positive. There was divorce, and in any time there's divorce, you always have situations of natural conflict. That's supposed to be okay. That should be normal. Not necessarily the conflict, but the idea that there would be. What isn't normal is when there are supposed to be mechanisms in place to protect you from allegations or anything like that. Those mechanisms are supposed to be fair. And when they aren't, it can lead to situations that are harmful, and that kind of happened in my situation. And then overnight, I started having labels applied to me in education that were just shocking, to say the least. And all of a sudden, this concept of woke and that universal design and doing things to appreciate identity started being attacked. And it felt like I was stuck in this quicksand where no matter how hard I was trying to show that I wasn't a threat, that I wasn't one of the people trying to hurt or harm anyone, it felt like my actions were being instead used against me, and I was getting deeper and deeper into this chaos of conflict. And so that when I'm doing things for others, I'm being hurt. When I'm doing things for myself, I'm being accused of being lazy, crazy, selfish, narcissistic, when all I'm trying to do is provide for my family and help kids learn. I was called too woke. And it was just one of those moments where it's like, I finally decided for myself that I needed to be alone for my healing. And so I would use my art again to speak for me, especially since I wasn't being allowed to speak in those other situations. And instead, even that was being told that to be an artist, just like in my past, I would have to meet others' expectations by changing my art. And that's when I finally decided enough was enough, and I walked away. So for me, plain and simple, it was the serenity prayer. Recognizing what I could change and accepting it. And then the difference. I knew for me that I was never going to change people without it looking like the very labels that they were trying to call me. And so I've also heard of this called the let them movement. But my idea became, if their labels are true, even if I don't believe so, me trying to fight would just affirm it for them in their eyes. Whereas I can then do the work on me. If people think I'm a crazy father, I can then spend time with my children to be a better father. If I'm a bad husband, I can spend time with my wife, who is the woman of my dreams, the answer to my prayers, because I can work on me. And if I'm a bad teacher, I can leave the classroom and just teach those that want to learn. And I even tried this with some of my family to teach them. But I ran into the same problems that I ran into in education. Either being accused of being too woke or trying to indoctrinate when the kids are the ones saying the things that they care about. I have never, and my students will tell you, even if I brought up something like a fact they didn't know, I would always tell them, you need to look this up. You need to verify what I'm saying. Don't ever trust any person without trusting yourself first. And that's also what helped me, was understanding I needed to learn to trust me again, to work on me. And that's what I did. So I went into isolation. I went to go work on me. My kids and I, we started doing homeschooling, and they helped decide what we were going to teach them. And I'll be really honest with you, I was very nervous about this, about my ability. But I also used to work in some of the best school districts in America. And I said, well, I might not know math and science, but I know programs that do, and I can do the other parts. And so I did. And my kids graduated from school early, and now I want to help other people as well. But I also miss doing my art, and I want to get back to my art and doing my music. And being a teacher was meaning that people were treating me like I could do nothing else. And the funny thing is, my teacher, my elementary music teacher, is considered sexy in a way where if I made the same song, I'd be considered cringe. That was Sheryl Crow. I actually learned from her in 3rd grade. And that's the irony of what I'm saying. Lin-Manuel, former teacher. All these people, Simon and Garfunkel, I think it was Paul Simon, former teacher. People were treating me like trying to do my music was dangerous. When I just wanted to be happy, I just wanted joy, I just wanted peace. And so, moving to isolation allowed me to work on me. I got in better shape. I'm a better father. My girls graduated. My wife is about to get her national board and certified teaching certificate. And me, I am about to hopefully start working on some things I'm about to announce. So I don't know if isolation is the answer for everyone, but for me, it's always been the answer because I grew up isolated. I was born in a different country on a military base, but still. I went to school out in the county, different from the people in my neighborhood. And I've always just been different. And I finally needed to accept me for me. Alright, so what's next for me? Well, in many ways, I want to now help others. My middle name, Alexis, actually stands for helper. And that's what I want to be for others. I want to help people get the same results for their GED that my kids got and the ACT. You know, I grew my daughter's ACT score 10 points in 1 year. I want to show people how I did it, and I did it using free, publicly available resources primarily. So this is what I want to do. I want to be a Gordon Ramsay of homeschooling and help people who want their kids to do better, because that's what the world's supposed to be about. And I want to do it using Afrocentric curriculum things, because at the end of the day, it's about skills. And we can still teach that Jackie Robinson or Harriet Tubman were important without losing skills. The next thing I want to do with Alimayu Arts, I absolutely want to use my art to finally be my voice in those spaces and ways that it couldn't be while all this conflict was happening. There were times when I had to silence my voice to protect my family or to protect others, or sometimes to just walk away with my name intact, that now I would like to use my art to help speak for me. And I'm doing all of these things with little to no profit because I'm not trying to chase anything more than finally living a life that is the authentic version of me. So, If you want support with homeschooling things, visit me at niafored.com. If you want to watch my art, be here at EnQue Music on YouTube. Also check me out eventually on my personal website as well, QAlimayu.com. These will be spaces where you can follow me because I am not on social, because plain and simple, and this might sound crazy, I don't need those problems. So, to wrap this up, I want to thank you for watching the video. Thank you for watching Use UDL the first times or however many times you've watched it. I hope you're using it for your students. Follow me here. Go on niafored.com after Juneteenth, just to be real, because I'm not quite done with it yet. But I want to be of service. I want to be a helper because I'm not just a helper by name. I'm also a helper by heart, and I want to be here for people like me.
Focus on the what of learning and try to accommodate the how of learning. On the L from the why of learning. Use UDL, cause they all need chances to learn. For students can get to the point of no return. So for all the teachers who are so concerned, use UDL.